next episode of the Build With Me project. In the last episode, you'll remember I've shown you how to build the door casings. What I've done on the model so far is I've stuck them in situ, so all I've done is glue down the side of the wall on each side and then put a dab of glue on the bottom of each stanchion and stuck them in, like so. I also, just to make sure that they were sitting square, used my square when they were in place to make sure that they're sitting upright, which is great. They're nice and square. The next stage, what we're going to do is we're going to put the wall plate on. The wall plate is the beginning of your timberwork frame. It's what the rest of your timberwork will sit on, and it simply is a timber perimeter frame which will sit on the wall, flush with the outside of the wall. So all you need to do is you measure from this point to the end of the wall, and you cut yourself some of your 3mm square doweling to that size. You stick that on, and then you measure from this point to the inside of the timber doweling that you've just put down. You cut it to size and you stick it on. You do the same here, here, here and here. Now what I will say to you, if you're following this tutorial like for like, on this return and this return, just leave it about 20mm shy. So just leave it 20mm short of what your actual wall is. I'll explain why later. So as an example, if we measure this outer wall, it's roughly 110mm. The measurement we're going to be working from will be 90mm. Like I say, I'll explain it to you later on, but if you could just do that for me, and we'll move on from there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my wall plate pieces. I'm then going to attach them, I'm going to glue them down, and then I'll come back to you in the next couple of minutes and explain to you what we do from there. So just as a recap, what I need you to do is we need a timber, and it needs to be flush, it needs to be flush with the outside of the wall and the outside of your door frames. So we're going to have a timber strut across there, 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 there and there. So we'll go away and cut them, and I will see you in a second. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut my wall plates and attached them to the tops of the walls. They run nicely in line with the door frames, and I've fell short on the top of the two wall sections. I've said 20mm shy, any distance that you like. Don't go too far, don't come all the way back here, but 20mm is a nice good measurement for the effect that we're going to go into a later stage in the video when it comes to showing you some little details that we can do to just make the scenery look a little bit cooler and a little bit more realistic. So anyway, back to the timber work. I want you to attach your wall plates to the wall. Once you've done that and it's dry, what I then need you to do is measure from the outside of this corner to the outside of this corner, so corner to corner. You should know the measurement. It should roughly be 110mm, which was the size which we originally drawn on the base, but just to give a little bit of leeway for, you know, a bit of skew with cutting or things being slightly out of square, always remeasure, but you should come in at that size and cut yourself another piece of rod. Do the same for each side. So as you can see, I've got a side here, a side here and a side here cut. Once you've cut them, these are going to be what's called your ring beam, which is basically the top of the timber frame, which will then support the roof. So now we need the uprights, the stanchions, to support that. We want the overall height to be 55mm. We know that this rod is 3mm, and there's one on the bottom, one on the top, so that's 6mm. We know that to get 55mm we need to build 35mm on top of this wall. So you've got your 35mm, take away 3 for this, 3 for this, and it leaves you with 29mm. So what I need you to do is cut yourself, let's have a count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 12, just to be on the safe side. Cut yourself 12 pieces of rod at 29 millimeters. Try and get them nice and straight, and try and make sure they're all roughly the same size. It doesn't matter if you're a mil or two out, as long as they're all a mil or two out. They've all got to be very, very similar in size, otherwise you're going to have a lopsided ring beam or a lopsided roof. So if you go away and do that, I'll do the same. And what you should end up with is a load of smaller pieces like this. Yeah? And what we're going to do with them is, these are going to be your corner supports, which go here like so. And then also they're going to be internal supports. So depending on the width of the wall, you might have, like this is quite a long width, you might have 2 more supports there. You probably have 1 in the centre of each return there, and you just get 1 here. So we're going to stick them on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark, hopefully it'll show up on the video, with a red dot where these supports are going to sit. Roughly in the centre. These red dots here that I'm putting on that are not in the corners, don't hold me to ransom if when I do place them they're not exactly on the red dot. It's just to give you an idea, because I'm going to measure and it's going to be split evenly, but it's just so visually you can see what it is I'm getting at. Put 1 there, and that will tell us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. I always cut an extra couple, for the simple reason sometimes on the long stretches I put them up the side of the doors as well, like so. I don't think we're going to need it on this one, so we should be alright. So if you cut yourself between 10 and 12 at 29 mil, I'm going to start sticking these in place. A very good method of practice that you should stick to here is, again, to use your square. So when you're sticking these in place, put them on like so and hold your square up and make sure it's on both angles, that it's nice and square. That way when you come to putting your ring beam on, it should sit just nicely. So I'm going to go and stick them on. I'm going to stick my 4 corners on first. I'm not going to stick these on just yet, so just the corners for now, and then I'll come back in a second. Okay, so as you can see I've stuck my 3 corners, sorry not 4, my 3 corners on here. I've got them nice and upright. Try and get them as square and plumb as you can. Don't worry if you're struggling, it can be quite fiddly using such small pieces of wood, and you still do have a little bit of sway in them to move them around a little bit if they're slightly out, so don't worry too much about it. What we're going to do from this stage, we're now going to put our ring beam on. The ring beam, like I say, sits all the way across, and it should be the full measurement of what you already have. So we will get our glue. We'll pop some glue on the tops of the corners. Get one corner nice and flush, the other corner nice and flush. Hold it for a second, make sure no fingers are stuck, and away we go. The next one, which you've cut to size, what you now need to do, which I should have told you, I actually forgot myself, so there's no excuse there, is just knock yourself 3 mil off, because you're going to butt up. An easy way to get a nice cut, your 3 mil off, is to get a rough piece of dowel, offer it up to the end, and just cut that distance off. And we just snip that off like so. And what that should do is it should leave you butting up nice and flush. Perfect. So with this, we'll put some glue on the end to butt up, some glue on the bottom, and we will, being very careful, pop it on like like so. And away we go. It's taking shape nicely here now. What we're going to do with this return, as you can see, I've come shorter again, actually shorter than the wall plate, and I've cut a slight angle on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tat up that angle with my knife. Tatting up, I mean I'm going to make it look like it's snapped, so I'm just going to put some triangle cuts into the end with a sharp knife, like so. As you can see, just makes it look like it's snapped off, which is what we want. From there, I'm actually going to stick this at an angle like it's dropped down. So, pop some glue on the end, a little bit of glue on the tip, and do that. What this does, apart from aesthetically looking rather cool, it creates a brace. A brace is this diagonal upright. It'll solidify everything and keep it nice and strong. So it does a twofold job. It has a real job, and it also looks very, very cool. So yeah, so that's that one. I've cut a very small piece for here. This I'm just going to stick on because it's so small. I'm going to be able to leave this like sticking out, protruding out, like so, like this. Yeah, that's the beauty of super glue, it sets so quick. Now what you should end up with is something that looks rather like that. Again, it's the first time I've ever tried to do this on video. It's very hard because I have the tendency, my mind starts going and I'm just kind of start soldering on through it. So if there's anything that I'm missing or that I've not explained very well, pop a message in the comments and I'll go back over it with you. So anyway, we're at that stage. What we're now going to do is we're going to put the rest of your uprights in, which will add some more support to your structure, and they should all be, if you've cut them all the same size, fit in nice and snug. And it's just a case of dabbing some glue top and bottom and popping them into position like so. Again, popping some glue on top and bottom and dropping them into position, and what you end up with is this kind of Tudor cladding type look. This we're taking a bit of care in doing it because some of it's going to be showing, a lot of it's going to be hidden, which I'm going to show you in a second. But I'm going to do that on all the other points where I've marked the dots. Anywhere where you think might look like an open space, pop one in. What I will do as well, if you can see above the door casing, if you measure from the top of the door casing to the underside of the ring beam, and cut yourself a piece of the dowling and pop it in the centre of the door there, we'll do that as well. I'm going to go and do that off camera. I'm going to put the rest of the uprights in and the uprights on the top of the door casings, and then I'll come back to you and I'm going to talk about the actual timber cladding, which is going to make up the outside of the building. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so we've stuck all our dowling in place. You should end up with something that looks similar to this. Don't worry if a couple of little bits come off, everything can be sorted out later on, at a later date. But yeah, basically you should have something, a fairly solid structure of timber dowling and foam like that. Okay, so the cladding, what I need you to do is just put this to one side for the minute. We don't need that. What you will need is to get yourself some of your balsa wood. I'm just using this off cut to show you what it is that I'm going to do. So you need your balsa wood, you need your scalpel blade, and you need your straight edge ruler, a nice steel ruler. What I'm then going to do, I'm going to cut myself strips. I'm going to be working on the roughly 2 to 3 millimeters thick, but I'm going to do this by the eye. The reason being is I want it to look rustic. I want it to look like these guys have been out locally, you know, sourced the wood from a nearby wood, and you know, made these planks, and a few wider than the others, etc. So I set my steel rule up, I run the sharp edge of my blade down the steel rule like so. Don't try and cut it in one go. Sometimes with balsa wood it can be so soft that you will very easily go through it in one go, but generally there's no rush, you know, just a couple of runs, and when you do get through, you'll know the balsa wood will generally just pop off like so. So there's one. I'll do a couple just to go through it with you again. You know, don't try and force it. Don't you'll end up snapping your blade or dragging the blade, or you know, even worse, slipping off the straight edge and going straight through your finger, which nobody wants. So just nice and easy. Let the blade do the work. And yeah, cut yourself some planks. You don't want them to be exactly the same, you want them to be individual. Don't worry about the length just now, because we're going to cut them to length as we need them. We just want to cut ourselves some to use as stock, if you like. So what I'll do is I'll just do the 3 for now. You've got an idea of how to do that. I'll cut myself a load more off camera. Any of these loose, see the shreds, just tidy them up, pull them off. Want them to be nice and clean cut. Yeah, so we've got them. What I then want you to do is to make these planks look weathered. We're going to have a side that we use as the outside always, and a side that we use as the inside. Basically the inside is never going to be seen. So the outside, on the corner, try and get as close up as I can. On this corner, all I want you to do, cutting away from your hands, is gently just take the edge, just take the corner off. Not neatly, you don't want this uniformed, you don't want it every 2mm, every 3mm. Just along the plank, anywhere that you feel. Don't always go the same depth, do some deep ridges on it, do some shallow ridges on it. And what this will do, doesn't look anything special now, but it just gives it that worn look, and the finish on it is really nice. You don't have to go mad, you don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. I just think it looks really cool. So we're going to do that. The one thing I would say is don't go too deep. You know, you don't want to be cutting chunks out of it. You just want to give it a rough edge. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but you will see the effects at the end when we come to painting. So do that on all 3. I'm just going to leave them 2 for now. I'll work with this one and I'll show you what we'll do. So we will keep our weathered plank. We'll bring our model back just for this example. What I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try, see if it looks easier. I'll put it like that so you can see what it is that I'm doing. Okay, okay. What I want to run a plank on the outside of my corner stanchion, on the front edge and the side edge. So we know that that's 35mm. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of this plank at 35mm. Again, we use our steel ruler, like so. We mark 35mm. And we cut that off. You can use your snips, you can use your blade, you can use whatever you'd like. I just need 2 of these. So, I've got my 2 35mm planks. What I'm then going to do, I'm going to continue and I'm going to stick them, one on this side, like so, and one on this side, like so. So I'll come back in a second once I've done that. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut my 2 corner pieces and I've glued them on, and what you'll end up with is something that looks like that. From this point, what we're going to do, we are then going to measure, butting up to the plank that we just put on to the edge of the door frame. we'll take that measurement. I'm not going to give you what the measurement mine was, because even if you follow mine specifically, it could be a mil out here or there. So measure it yourself, get used to taking your own measurements from the inside of the plank to the inside of your door frame, and cut yourself a few planks. And what we're going to do is we're going to start planking up. Obviously when we get to the top of the door frame, the planks are going to be the full length, so only for this stage go up to the side of the door. So I've pre-cut these to the size. I'm going to stick them on like so till I get to the top of the door. I'm going to do the same on this side, and then obviously up here is going to be the full length. Don't forget to put your upright planks on this stanchion, and then we're going to continue that around. All I would say is, where you've got damaged walls, like these ones and this one, just forget about the cladding for the minute, because we're going to do weathered cladding on that side and damaged cladding. So just do your complete solid cladding, and I will come back with you and show you what to do with the rest. Alright guys, see you in a second. Okay, so I've started putting the cladding on, as you can see. What we now do, like I say, is measure your internals from this upright plank to this upright plank. And you start cutting your planks. I already have some here cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these on. Dead easy to do. All I do is I put a little blob on where the planks are going to make contact with the existing framework. And what this does for you, as well as looking good, every time you add something to this structure, it makes it a little bit stronger. So the more you build onto it, the stronger and stronger it gets. And that's the beauty of using balsa wood and using kind of traditional building techniques to build your terrain. There are a lot easier ways to do things. I just think for what we're going to do is, because we're going to be able to see the inside, we're going to be able to see the framework, because it's a damaged building. If this wasn't going to be a damaged building, I wouldn't go to the extent that I'm going to with the framework, etc. I could just use foam card and stick the planking to the foam card, or just stick balsa wood to the foam card and mark the planking off, like engrave it into it. But for this particular project, it's good for you guys because it gets you used to using different materials, and it just looks super awesome, I think. So we're going to stick the rest of these planks on like so. Dead simple. Pop it on. Don't worry if you have slight gaps between your planks. As you can see there, I've left one just to show you. Don't worry about that at all. You know, it's a timber building. There's going to be gaps. Timber warps and shrinks in the cold and the wet and the heat in the real world, and we're trying to emulate that. So you know, there will be gaps and things like that. So we're on to pretty much what's going to be the last plank. Don't worry if when you're putting your planking on, you get to your ring beam and you've got a gap and you think, well, I'm not going to fit another plank on there, but I could do with one. Don't worry, because we haven't finished here. We're going to put the apex on, so the planks are going to carry on up. I've just done this just to show you on camera. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it all the way round. Again, don't forget to put your uprights on first, and then measure in between. I think that's plenty for you to be getting on with. What I can do, actually, I'll just show you, just to end this video. I've got some offcuts here. When you're putting these on the damaged section, you want them to be damaged. So basically, get where you want the damage to start. So on this one, I don't want it to hit that, so I'm going to just mark my balsa wood, and then I'm going to just cut a couple of triangles, as you can see there. I'll take this pin out now, it's just going to get in the way, and then pop some glue on. Being very careful, I'm using super glue because for this video it sticks very quickly. It's very easy to show things. pop it on, it's damaged there. What you may find now is you've got no uprights to stick to, so this is where it's going to get fiddly. What we want to do is we're going to kind of come in at a triangle shape, jagged, and we're just going to stick this one onto the existing plank. So again, offer it up, get your rough mark where you want to be, cut yourself a nice little damage effect like so, and this time where everything's going to make contact we'll pop the glue, tiny amounts needed with super glue like so, and we're going to offer that up and into position, as you can see. And what I'll do is I'll carry that up to the corner. You can crack on and do that. I'll have it done on this side as well, and then in the next video what I'm going to cover is finishing the roof off, doing the apex, and other damage effects to the building. And then in the final video we'll probably go over basing and painting. But that's it for this episode. It's quite a lot to take in, and it can be quite fiddly, so I didn't want to go too far into the timber work in one video. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I look forward, by all means post on my Facebook group or on the Great British Hobbit League, the Frostgrave Facebook groups, and tag me into it. You know, your progress if you're cracking on with it, it'd be great to see. Or you can hold out till the end and we can compare at the end. But as you can see, it's taking shape. It's looking really good at the minute. It's nowhere near finished, and it's nowhere near looking as cool as it's going to do when it is finished. So I'll leave you there, guys. I hope you've had a good weekend, and I will see you in the next video in a couple of days. Okay, keep gaming. Take care.